hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
Napa know-how.
Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time.
Know-how. Napa know-how.
If you've had an accident or just want a new look for your vehicle, come see us at Troy Paint and Body, where we do it right the first time. Our staff has more than 100 years combined experience and can handle repairs and paint work on any make or model. We also offer a lifetime guarantee as long as you own your vehicle. Now that shows we stand behind our work. And our 24-hour towing service means we're here when you need us. So come see us at Troy Paint and Body, located on South Brundage Street in Troy beside the post office. Troy Paint and Body, where we may meet by accident, but you'll be glad we did.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Are you a driver trainee just finished in school and want to drive an automatic truck? Then call Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Right, Fuzzy? We have automatic trucks. That's right. And we will reimburse you for your driver training. No pets? Not at Wiley Sanders Truck Line. At Wiley Sanders Truck Line, we thought of everything. We thought of the kennel for your fuzzy friend. Right, Fuzzy? Tell them about it. Wiley Sanders Truck Line, Troy, Alabama. Come drive for the best today. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Tell them, Fuzzy.
When you are handed the key to a new Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick or GMC, rev up your imagination. Think of all the places you can go in some of the most stylish, best quality cars available on the market today. Feel confident driving vehicles with superb dependability and safety ratings. And smile. You saved a ton of money because you bought at Bill Jackson. Let the only thing holding you back be the end of the road. A Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC vehicle will not only change your life, it saves you money like nowhere else.
Hey folks, are you tired of spending hard-earned money on a gas grill only to have it burn up in less than 2 years? Not to mention burning your food. Here at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, we carry the Holland Grill line. They've been around since 1988, and there are people right here in Troy that have had theirs for over 20 years. These grills are guaranteed not to flare up.
You can grill, steam, or smoke on your new Holland Grill today. Come see us at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, inside Town and Country Flooring Center.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
Forevermark Diamonds. Beautiful, rare, responsibly sourced. Available at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
Napa know-how.
Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time.
Know-how. Napa know-how.
Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr. Bill, good to see you, my friend.
Good morning.
We've got a great show for you today. Dan Smith's going to be in here for a short time. Jeffrey Bennett's going to be in here for a short time. And also Noel. And we're so excited Noel's in town, the great artist, Fred Noel Hollis. Of course, you remember Miss Noel?
No, I don't, but I've heard many stories.
And of course, that family, big family here in Troy for years. And Noel, of course, the story, you know, he raised part of his life in Troy and Birmingham and later Arab, Alabama, and went abroad to be an artist and came back as one of the more famous artists in the country right now, or the world. And
in the world, yeah.
There's a big event going on. Today is to be in celebration of Troy Wednesday. Troy University and the city of Troy will celebrate a native son on May the 7th, which is today, and recognize him for his accomplishments in the world of art. Noel Day, and they proclaimed Noel Day, and recognized as the world-renowned mixed media artist and Pike County native, Fred Noel Hollis, and his artistic contributions. City officials will proclaim Noel Day at the luncheon in his honor at the Johnson Center for the Arts. And of course, Jason Reeves, the mayor, will preside over that, and it's going to be a great day for the citizens of Troy.
You know,
I've known Noel. I grew up with Noel. I've known him all my life, and I have been so proud to know him because he is one of the great artists in the world.
You know, after our show yesterday, Mike took me on one of his famous ride-arounds, and we went through the exhibit that they're going to start today.
Well, you know, the museum is actually
the museum, the old
that's
dining
there
hall
year round, you know.
On Troy University's campus. It used to be the dining hall when I was a student.
That's right.
And boy, it is jaw-dropping, the artwork they have in there. About most of it is from Noel, but there's plenty of it from
there was
students.
the McClendon girl that and I've got her card, and boy, she had some beautiful paintings.
You know what? But looking at, I've long admired Noel's artwork.
Yeah.
But the more I think about Noel, the more impressed I am by the frames he creates for his artwork.
That's where the beauty.
Unlike anything you see anywhere.
That's where the beauty comes from, is those frames.
So anybody that gets a chance to go see this exhibit, please do it. It's going to be well worth your time.
Well, even Dan Smith goes by there every now and then. And, of course, it is a beautiful place, and Troy is so lucky to have it, you know, a place like that. This young lady right here is quite an artist herself, and she is lives on Crow Hill, Alabama, born and raised on Crow Hill, Alabama, and
Alex McClendon.
Alex McClendon, and boy, she's got some beautiful paintings too, and she's a professional. She sells her art, and right now, of course, she's finishing her degree at Troy, and Alex is was a former soccer player at Charles Simpson High School, and now one of the top. Good morning, you on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hi, morning.
Mike Amos calling from whereabouts in Florida?
Drayton Beach, Florida.
Drayton Beach, Florida, and of course he's going to be on our show. We've got Dan Smith is going to be on our show.
Who needs no introduction.
And guess who's coming later, Mike? Noel is coming. Noel's going to be on our show today, too. So we've got a great show.
Well, that will be good.
And Max Howell could not be on our show today. He's going to try to talk to us some on Friday. So we'll talk to him then.
Max usually calls on Wednesday anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a short break in a moment, and you can head out and see and pick up Noel, and we're going to bring in Dan Smith for the Troy Recreation Department. And let me tell you, have you been at Grocery Advantage yet? Let me tell you, that is a great place to shop.
Going to.
Boy, I like their selection of meats and vegetables is about as good as you're going to find anywhere. I've been very impressed with it. And the prices are very reasonable, and there's another location in Enterprise, and these are great people, and boy, I tell you, you want some bargains, you just stroll through there for a while.
And it's a great location.
Yeah, it really is. You don't have to get out on the bypass, and it's in the same location that the Food World was in before, and it's a great place to shop. We're going to take a short break, brought to you by the Withington Group. We'll be back with Dan Smith in just a moment.
Are you a driver trainee just finished in school and want to drive an automatic truck? Then call Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Right, Fuzzy? We have automatic trucks. That's right. And we will reimburse you for your driver training. No pets? Not at Wiley Sanders Truck Line. At Wiley Sanders Truck Line, we thought of everything. We thought of the killer for your fuzzy friend. Right, Fuzzy? Tell them about it. Wiley Sanders Truck Line, Troy, Alabama. Come drive for the best today. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Tell them, Fuzzy.
When you are handed the key to a new Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick or GMC, rev up your imagination. Think of all the places you can go in some of the most stylish, best quality cars available on the market today. Feel confident driving vehicles with superb dependability and safety ratings. And smile, you saved a ton of money because you bought at Bill Jackson. Let the only thing holding you back be the end of the road. A Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC vehicle will not only change your life, it saves you money like nowhere else.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video, and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
Hey folks, are you tired of spending hard-earned money on a gas grill only to have it burn up in less than 2 years, not to mention burning your food? Here at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, we carry the Holland Grill line. They've been around since 1988, and there are people right here in Troy that have had theirs for over 20 years. These grills are guaranteed not to flare up.
You can grill, steam, or smoke on your new Holland Grill today. Come see us at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, inside Town and Country Flooring Center.
In Great Beach, Florida. Now, back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Quality Roofing in downtown Goshen. Have you ever been to his place in downtown Goshen?
I have not.
But
no, sir.
He's got that beautiful home in downtown Goshen. Of course, Jeff's been in the roofing business a long time. With all this wind and all the damage, Dan Smith, the recreation director, is with us today, one of my very good friends. And Dan, did y'all have much damage with your parks and all that?
Well, Murphy Park, we had a couple of major trees that have been there many, many years that are not there anymore, but the playground is fine. And
one of the hardest things you ever did in your life was tear down that pavilion, wasn't it? That old pavilion that used to be there.
Well, we had some help. That was Hurricane Opal.
It sure did. It went right through there, didn't it?
Hurricane Opal dropped a big tree on it, and that took it out.
And that facility, and people of Old Troy will verify this with me, that was where we grew up. You know, arts and crafts was held there. Your major luncheons or picnics, reunions were there, and that's something. And I hope you and I've talked about it. Was one day bring back some of those. What do you call them for reunions? Just those. What do you call them? Where people have reunions.
Well, the pavilions right now.
Yeah, they call them pavilions,
Yes, sir. We're hoping to get a new pavilion one day out at the sports place.
That'd be great.
Out at the rec center next to the Miracle League Playground will be a great location for a pavilion. And the mayor and I have talked about that. There's a lot of things on our wish list that hopefully we can have one day.
Now, people have not taken the walk. We're talking about the Sportsplex, the Beau Gaillard Sportsplex.
Yes, sir.
I like to call
sir.
it. Your walking trail is now over 2 miles long. Is that right?
It is about 2.1 miles. Yes, sir.
And people, if you've never made that walk, it is a beautiful walk. And you walk over around, you see this big body of water. You say, "Gosh, where did this come from?"
Well, there are a couple of ponds that belong to the Curtis family that are off our walking trails, and walking trails are extremely popular out at the rec center, and the Sportsplex are paved and mowed very well by our grounds crew, and a lot of people use them early in the morning and all day long.
Yeah. And year round,
Yes,
it is
do.
beautiful in the
sir.
fall. It's beautiful in the winter and all that, and that's just a
So
part
you
of
have trails at Pike County Lake out there as well for people to walk around?
No, sir, not yet. We're trying to, something else we'd love to have out there is a trail system. There is an archery park that we are hoping to have open by July.
That'd be wonderful.
That the state of Alabama is providing all of the equipment and targets for the archery park. And speaking with them last week, they should begin construction within the month.
That is wonderful. And of course,
so what is Pike County Lake stocked with? What could you expect to catch out there if you went out there fishing today?
Well, a lot of big bass. They have really grown in 3 years. They've gone from 1.5 pounds all the way up to 8 pounds. We've got a lot of 6 and 8 pound bass out there, a lot of brim, and they're catching a lot of good catfish now.
Isn't that amazing? Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Pike County Lake, which is owned by the city of Troy and is run by the Recreation Department, and you've got some very good qualified people.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's an easy way to fish. I mean, you can either bring your own gear or you can buy your gear out there. Or do y'all even...
We do. We have a great bait shop there. It's what we call it, the bait shop. Sell worms and crickets, but anything you want as far as bait and tackle. We rent boats. We rent trolling motors and life preservers, life jackets, and paddles and batteries. So if
somebody wanted to fish, you got it ready for them.
We even sell the fishing licenses and the daily permits.
Yeah. Of course, got plenty of crickets.
Yes, we do.
And
Troy is limited as far as golf. Have y'all ever been approached or asked about building like a driving range out at the Sportsplex or out at the Pike County Lake property for people to go out and hit golf balls?
Well, not really. It would be nice if there were, some more opportunities, but not at this time, no, sir.
I tell you something I saw him doing, a guy doing the other day is flying model airplanes out there.
We do have we call it the airport, the runway back behind the rec center. A lot of people have model airplanes.
And if you ever seen somebody that really knows how to operate one of them, it's something to see, isn't it?
They are good. They're some expensive
Is it a club that does that?
Just a group of guys and ladies that go out there and have their own model airplanes and helicopters, and they're very good at what they do.
How about drones? Do you see many drones?
There are, yes, sir, quite a few people that come out there with the drones as well. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Of course, Dan Smith, the Troy Recreation Director, and of course, this time of year, softball is a big item, and a lot of tournaments have been through Troy. And of course, as everybody knows, big game in Montgomery tomorrow morning, starting at 10 o'clock, as the Pike Liberal Arts Patriots right here in Troy go head-to-head with Morgan Academy, who is 29-0, which is phenomenal.
That's strong.
And they'll be playing in the best 2 out of 3. If Pike wins, they will.
Surely they have played each other this year, wouldn't you say?
I don't believe
I don't think they have either.
I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago, and they said they had, from what I recall, I don't believe they played them, but Morgan has 2, if not 3, Division I players and a potential Major League draft pick, first rounder, from what I hear.
And they've got 2, I know, that have already committed to Auburn and really are playing very good baseball, but so is Pike Liberal, and it's going to be quite a game.
Well, Pike Liberal has a tremendous amount of baseball talent this season, a lot of great young men, great baseball players. regardless of Morgan's record, you know, Pike Live's got a very good team as well.
And you look at your recreation rosters, and a lot of these same kids grew up playing in the rec leagues, and you know, your rec leagues are famous, and you see these kids that are down in Dixie youth and Dixie boys, and those boys. You watch them grow up through the ranks. They either go to Charles Henderson or they'll go to Pike Liberal,
yes,
and they're just loaded with talent.
Well, we just started our Dixie Boys season last night, and as you just said, I was really surprised at all of the combination, the collection of all of the talent from all the schools: Goshen, Pike County High, Charles Henderson, Pike Liberal Arts, and we hope that rec ball provides a good starting point, a good foundation for. And we've had a lot of great coaches come through Troy and prepare the kids with all the fundamentals. But, you know, when they go to the high schools, and JV.
That's one thing that I would love to get with Dan, and he and I have talked about it, is one day maybe Mike establish a coaches Hall of Fame. I mean, some of the great coaches, people want to know why Troy is so good in baseball. And, of course, it starts at the top with Dan. But at the same time, Dan, there have been some great coaches like a Marshall Boy Moats and a Robert A. McGee and Sam Kitchens. I mean, you could go on. Terry Jenright.
Yes, sir.
You could go on and on, you know.
Well, and it begins with the coaches and the parents. You know, as I always say, the children cannot sign themselves up or drive themselves to practice. We depend on our parents and our coaches to get the children involved. And for decades, we've been very fortunate, you know, going back to the days of Knox Street, that we had a lot of great coaches, a lot of men that knew how to teach the game and coach the game and really got a great foundation.
My little league coach was Jim Tom Norman, Mr. Jim Tom Norman Sr., and Bob Talbot. Those are two pretty good coaches.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, you can just go on down the road. Z.B. McClendon coached the Red Sox, and of course, Harry Baker coached in the leagues and was a great coach.
So when y'all were growing up, y'all probably didn't have lights on the field, did you?
Oh, yeah, we had lights on the field. What are you talking about? The first field, the Robert A. McGee field, and it's still standing. Yes, I rode by there the other day, and sometimes I ride through the cemetery. You know, I was raised in that area, you know, and it didn't bother me at all to get out and look at graves, and, you know, it brings back memories. But the Little League Park there has been there for years, but I looked at the fence. Yes, and that fence was 180 foot long, I think, I want to say, at the time, 180 feet. And I never hit a home run. Can you believe that? I've hit them at practice, but in a game, never hit a home run. And it was 180 feet away.
I hit one in my life.
You know what I mean?
It was on that field.
It was a long way.
Yes, sir.
And then at the elementary school, you go to the Troy Elementary School?
Yes, sir.
The old one?
I went to Cherry Street.
All right, Cherry Street, that's what I'm saying. All right, you had that wall there?
Yes.
I never hit one over there. Hey, we played in the morning before school. You remember that?
Oh, yes, I do.
And those boys from the Baptist home were just, especially those left-handed guys, were hitting it out of sight. No, Charles Ingram used to hit it up on the top of the roof. But that was one thing that I remember so well about that school was you played softball every morning before school bell rang. Isn't that right?
Sure did. Yes, sir.
And then Mr. Dotson came out, and if he told us to go to the class, we went to class, didn't we?
I remember Mr. Dotson. Yes,
but you know what that school had better than anything in this world was their cafeteria when they had spaghetti. And things like that. They had a good cafeteria. You remember that?
I do. That was a very good school. Yes, sir.
Now, if I'm not wrong, and I think I'm guessing right here, you also went to First Baptist Church.
We did. We're now members at Bush.
I know, but
yes,
when you were growing up, you were like me.
Yes, sir.
And you went to you had your church right there, and you had your in the summer, you had your vacation Bible school.
Right.
And Dr. Ammerman would get up on that square box police motorcycle. Do you remember that?
I do.
That Shorty Sullivan had.
Okay.
And we would have a parade, and we'd go throughout the neighborhoods, and everybody say, "Come to Vacation Bible School. come to Vacation Bible School. But I can remember that so well. It's one of the things that we're looking at. This time of year is a lot of tournaments, and of course, season ending, and of course, Pike Liberal lost the heartbreaker to a Bessemer the other day in the semifinals of the tournament.
Yes, sir.
Held at Lagoon Park. But Dan, your facilities are just next to none, and man, how do we do it, man?
Well, thank you, Mike. It's truly the support of our community, our mayor and city council, and we have a wonderful staff. Our staff takes great pride in our facilities, and Mayor Jason Reeves and going back to Mayor Jimmy Lunsford, they understand and support and are enthusiastic about the quality of life in Troy, and just like police and fire and public works, sanitation, they have invested in park and recreation for the people of Troy, for the youth, the children, the adults, and the seniors. And
just this morning, there was somebody that approached you, said, I've been trying to get my child in this program. Well, let me tell you, these programs are jam-packed, but tell us what you offer this summer.
Yes, sir. Our summer day camp, begins in 1st of June, and it'll run through about six weeks, I believe, June and July, and we'll have about 100 children per day, Monday through Friday, at the rec center. And it's more than kickball and arts and crafts. They'll learn, a young lady will teach introductory sign language, also Spanish, and of course they'll go swimming and a lot of other things. So they stay very busy. And we had registration this past Saturday, and some of the age groups filled up within that first hour, but from what I understand, they're only full for the first 2 weeks. So the last 4 weeks, we do have plenty of openings. Yeah. So it's not too late for people to sign up.
And this starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, goes how long?
Till 5 p.m., 8 to 5.
Whoa, man, oh man, I can understand why they're filling up.
Yes, sir.
And it's a fun, you feed them a meal and everything,
they get a meal plus a snack in the morning.
How many kids are we talking about in this first program?
About 100 children per day. Yes,
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, sir.
Mike, you would have jumped all over that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I pay a lot of money in daycare and preschool.
But it's great that y'all do that, and of course the people that are doing the teaching are very, very well trained people.
A lot of our teachers for day camp are teachers in the school system, and we have a lot of college young people and high school young people that assist also.
Well, it's a great program, no question about it. Now, your big pool, outdoor pool, is it open yet?
No, sir, not this weekend, but next weekend. We have the Special Olympics swim meet.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful.
The Special Olympics gymnastics and swim meet will be at the rec center. The rest of the Special Olympic events will be over on the campus of Troy University, and that's the weekend that we open our outdoor pool.
Yeah. I tell you, it's wonders what this city brings, and this Special Olympics, it'll have well over 1,000 participants. And the mamas and the daddies and the brothers and the sisters and the aunts and uncles are going to come.
Yes, sir.
There won't be any rooms in Troy that weekend, I wouldn't think.
I'm sure. There'll be a lot of people coming to Troy.
Yeah, I was in line one day getting some lunch at the Pig in Mountain Brook, and a guy was behind me and saw my Troy shirt on, and he said that he went with him and his friends down to the event every year for the Special Olympics in Troy, and how well it was run and done.
Now, we would love for anybody that would love to volunteer. They're needed. Who would they get up with?
Mr. Herb Reeves on the campus of Troy University.
That's right.
Can
Herb Reeves
help people get lined up for volunteering.
But it is a wonderful event. At the same time,
last year, didn't they go to the baseball game? It was the largest baseball crowd in Troy history.
I think that's right, wasn't it? Last year,
I'm not sure.
You let them go to the baseball game.
That probably would have been at Troy University.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me tell you something about this guy. Are you going to have your fireworks?
Well, yeah, July 4th fireworks, yes, sir.
No, but for the Special Olympics,
we don't do that, but the Troy University does the fireworks. For
Troy,
the
Alabama
Olympics.
has more fireworks displays than any town I know anywhere. Of course, it's always on the 4th of July, but you do it a lot of other times during the year too.
There are, yes, sir, and
you and that firework guy are good buddies, aren't you?
Well, we have been. We have a great professional relationship, and they do a great job, yes, sir.
And I'll say this before we get off this subject, is that the fireworks will be on the 4th of July, and the quality of the fireworks in Troy, Alabama, hear me now, I'm bragging again, is next to none. I don't know if anybody, even the large school towns, don't have it any better than we do. Is that right?
Well, again, going back to our mayor and city council, they provide our budget, and we've had discussions about the fireworks, and they're very supportive of July 4th, for example, being an important day for our community. And the fireworks display, a lot of people from all over come to Troy to see that.
And I tell you what, even
the only issue with the fireworks is the weather is not always good for you guys. You'll have to change it up every once in a while, don't you?
And all the way from Brundage south to Raymer north, you can see the fireworks. And of course, Noel just came in here, and he remembers going out to the Starlight Drive-In Theater, and they used to have fireworks. You remember that?
Mr. Bo Gaylord used to shoot.
Exactly. Wait a minute, we got an Indian chief here. We're gonna have a ball this morning as the renowned artist Noel is with us today. My good friend Noel Hollis.
Yes, sir.
And of course, your family and all families can look forward to a great 4th. And,
yes, sir.
20 minutes of continuous fireworks is a lot of fireworks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And Mike, I'd like to suggest, can we go to commercial and bring Noel up? Because
we're going to do that?
Yeah, it's a very special guest.
Wow, 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 wow. Noel Hollis is going to be on our show, and of course, I hope you'll come back to see us soon.
That's always
everything going very good though with your rec program.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. We'll be brought to you by Troy Regional Medical Center. We'll be back with Noel in just a moment.
Are you a driver trainee just finishing school and want to drive an automatic truck? Then call Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Right, Fuzzy? We have automatic trucks. That's right. And we will reimburse you for your driver training. No pets? Not at Wiley Sanders Truck Line. At Wiley Sanders Truck Line, we thought of everything. We thought of the killer for your fuzzy friend. Right, Fuzzy? Tell them about it. Wiley Sanders Truck Line, Troy, Alabama. Come drive for the best today. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Tell them, Fuzzy.
When you are handed the key to a new Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick or GMC, rev up your imagination. Think of all the places you can go in some of the most stylish, best quality cars available on the market today. Feel confident driving vehicles with superb dependability and safety ratings. And smile, you saved a ton of money because you bought at Bill Jackson. Let the only thing holding you back be the end of the road. A Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC vehicle will not only change your life, it saves you money like nowhere else.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video, and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
Hey folks, are you tired of spending hard-earned money on a gas grill only to have it burn up in less than 2 years, not to mention burning your food? Here at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, we carry the Holland Grill line. They've been around since 1988, and there are people right here in Troy that have had theirs for over 20 years. These grills are guaranteed not to flare up.
You can grill, steam, or smoke on your new Holland Grill today. Come see us at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, inside Town and Country Flooring Center.
Wow, 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 wow. Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, and he's here, ladies and gentlemen, Noel Hollis, my good friend, and goes by Noel, Daddy Fred. Fred Noel Hollis.
Fred Noel, Willis Fred Noel was my grandfather.
Exactly right.
His mother was a Murphy, and we lived on Murphy Street.
That's exactly right. And of course, I can remember it. Rice, have a seat, man, and we're going to be able to pick him up.
Okay.
There's plenty. Of course, one of the world's renowned artists and a good friend of mine. And of course, we go all the way back to childhood. And you heard him, the recreation director, talking about the pavilion at Murphy Park. You remember the pavilion? You remember the big pavilion? Yeah, they had to tear it down because the tornado went through there and tore it down a long time ago. You remember the old city pool, don't you?
Sure I do.
Remember how cold that water was, don't you?
Freezing cold.
Especially on the day that they changed the water out. I think they changed the water out 2 times a week. One on Wednesday and the other one maybe on Sunday.
That was the baby pool or the big pool?
No, the big pool. The baby pool, I don't think they changed it out very much. Boy, but it was a huge baby pool. Do you remember the baby pool?
Yes.
Rice was raised in the same neighborhood.
My grandmother
Bill Rice and Martha Chapman Rice.
Marcia, he knows my parents.
And of course, your Marcia was an artist in her own right, and so forth. And it's great to have this one of the renowned artists in the country on our show. And of course, this is your life, Noel Hollis. It looks like this weekend your hometown celebrates what you've done in career and so forth. So I'm gonna read this first column. It says, Troy University in the city of Troy will celebrate a native son on May the 7th and recognize him for his accomplishments in the world of art. Noel Day. Wow. Noel Day.
Wow.
Wow. Chief Noel is with us today. Tell us about it, Noel.
Well, Mike, driving into the campus, I didn't recognize it the last time I was here. I didn't recognize the campus.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
And now I come and staying at Pace Hall. I'm looking at this new building, the Athletic Center for the students.
Yeah, isn't it something?
And I was just amazed. I said, well, they just keep making it a more beautiful university campus.
And they don't just stick a building up, no. It has fabulous architecture.
Oh, I see. It's following the southern red bricks and colonial architecture and the classic style. It's just fabulous.
No question about it.
It's fabulous.
Of course, Noel and I, as I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, grew up together. And, of course, Fred Noel Hollis, and he called his granddaddy Daddy Fred. Is that right?
Daddy Fred, that's
all right,
correct.
Do you remember Daddy Fred's blue Pontiac car that you used to...
1955
we used to ride around in.
Absolutely.
It was a blue and the thing was, though, I don't think you had your driver's license,
Pontiac.
did you? Pontiac, that's right, it was a Pontiac. But I don't believe you had your driver's license, did you?
At 6? They didn't give me.
But later on, though, when you were courting girls back then, because I was along there with you, you were driving that old Pontiac back then.
Well, he would let me have it anytime I wanted, even before I was 16. So it was, and I started dating at 4, if you remember.
That's
Ricky
right.
Salmon.
That's right. Well, but I remember Nancy Emerson, and Sybil Chapman. We all had some great times back then, during the summers, and of course. Let's just begin at the front. Of course, you're one of the renowned artists in the country, and we're gonna find out how in the world you got that way, because I knew you as a ruffian. You were when you grew up in Troy. You went to the park and you skied and you had a bunch of fun growing up.
I loved to wrestle.
That's right.
I would wrestle with Perry and Carrie Green, Randy Brown.
That's right. Randy, your cousin.
Alan Dotson.
Yeah, that's right.
All these people, and I would always win.
Yeah.
So
and of course, you played football for Murphy Park.
Yeah, but I played not much. I went to practice one day, and they hucked the ball to me, and I turned around and ran backwards up to my grandmother's house, and I said, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah, I know. And of course, Buck Corley later on played in that league with you, and Jerry Rose. You remember him?
I do.
And how good he was.
He was fast.
So it's that neighborhood, and Rice was born in the same neighborhood you were born in.
Weren't you raised on Murphy Street or?
Raised on 405 Murphy Street in a little duplex.
Yeah.
next door to Rufy Selman, and Alan Dotson lived across the street.
That's right, sure did, right there on Murphy Street.
And, I mean, that was my hood.
Yeah, and then our guy that became the great piano player lived right next door to you. What was his name? He's the song lead. He's a dentist out in Dallas, Texas. And he, what was his name?
I don't know. I probably stayed away from him.
But Davis.
I took piano and was not very good
Yeah.
and quit.
And it was Davis, and of course he's a great pianist or whatever today. But
have you always had this artistic talent, or when did you kind of?
Mother said I stabbed my way out of the womb with a pencil. And
so you were drawing at 6 years old.
I was drawing at birth. Mother said. She said you had a pencil and you would crawl around on the floor, and you would draw on the baseboards of the house, especially under the telephone where she was talking. I would just be scribbling.
Well, yeah, I
Did
remember.
anybody else in your family have that?
My father.
Gene?
Well, and then, of course, you know, something that was very important was you grew up here. You left Troy, what, in junior high school, or when did you leave Troy?
I was 11.
Yeah, and you moved to Birmingham, is that right?
Almost killed me.
Went to Birmingham.
Yep.
Your dad was a banker.
To Vestavia. We went to Vestavia and
one of the great schools in the state of Alabama, Vestavia High School, and that's where you went to school.
No, and then at 10th grade or 11th grade, Daddy moved to Arab.
To Arab, Alabama, and he owned his own bank there in Arab, a great town in North Alabama. And then you graduated and went to the University of
Alabama. Was a Sigma Nu, and
I was a Sigma Nu.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Where?
At Alabama.
Well, hello, brother.
Now, was your dad a Sigma Nu too?
He was an SAE.
Yeah, he's SAE, and his dad played football in Alabama. But and then of course, several Troy people were Sigma News. I remember.
That's right.
Remember that. I want to say Bob McGee was a Sigma Nu, but he was SAE.
Judd Colley.
Okay.
He was the one that forced me to play Sigma Nu.
Yeah, I got
He said, "You can play Sigma Nu or else."
Yeah.
I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I know it. I can understand that. And of course, the rest is sort of history.
Well, then he went to Europe and began your real education, right? We were talking about that on the car on the way over here.
It was an amazing transfer to go from University of Alabama and then working in a bank a year and then going to Europe. I took my passport, my wife, and $1,000.
Yeah. You know, I remember this before we get going on this. It was really a big debate on what you were going to do. Of course, your dad owned the bank, and he wanted you to be a banker. Is that right? And then, the other side wanted you to be an artist. So you had to make a decision, and your decision was to.
Well, my father
be an
said,
artist.
"How are you going to get to Europe?" And I said, "I'm going to go." And he said, "Well, how are you going to get there?" I said, "I've saved up $1,000." He said, "You think that's going to last the rest of your life?" I said, "I'm going to paint." He said, "Artists don't make any money." I said, "Well, you know, you taught me that money was important as God, and being a banker, which most of them do, and I'm just going to mix the two together, and I'm sure that God will take care of it."
Before we leave the Troy connection, your sister was Merle.
Merle.
See, I'm 71 years old, but I still remember Merle. You know,
I'm 71 years old.
I know. Yeah, but you repeated the class, did you?
What? No, I repeated a country. I came back here.
Yeah, guess who's going to meet us for lunch today? Jacqueline Brantley.
Right. I love Jacqueline.
And she's watching this morning. But you know,
she was right on the corner of Murphy Street and Thrill Hill.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And my wife Carol lived across the street, right across from Thrill Hill, and it's still there. It's still there. Yeah.
We had our roller skates.
That's right. Ann Lawrence lived on the other corner. Jimmy, lived right there, and so forth. And
beautiful childhood.
Now, and another thing, I want everybody to know this: your cousin Jerry Hollis
has just moved back to
Troy.
Troy.
Is he your cousin or your uncle?
He's my uncle.
Your uncle Jerry. And of course, he played football. Jerry played football with you.
I saw him at church Sunday.
With Bill Senior at Troy, and he was a good football player. But also, Jerry Hollis went to BMI with Buddy Brantley, Tom Murphy, and what's my other one? One other one went there too. Gosh, I can't remember his name, but He was a center on the team. But your family, and of course your grandmama was Miss
Lucy Trotman Nall.
Trotman Nall.
So that's your Trotman connection. Yeah. So that's why you're so tight. You were so close to Bubba and his family.
And of course related to Randy Brown, also through that.
Who are you not kin to?
Well, Troy is a small town, so I was related to everybody here, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But there weren't any other people.
Were you related to the Murphys?
My great grandmother.
All right, was she buried in the Murphy Cemetery?
Yeah.
Here on right next to the First Baptist Church.
Next to where my grandfather was born, that greenhouse with the gables.
Okay, yeah.
That's where he was born.
That's the oldest house in Troy, I believe.
Oldest house in Troy.
Beautiful, dude. And the hurricane hit it too, you know. Did you know that?
Tornado.
I mean,
we originally had a tornado in Troy.
I heard about
hurricane, but a tornado.
But did it damage it?
Yeah, some damage, but not much. One of our favorite people is Mr. O'Neill, Jim O'Neill, and he was sitting in Charles Tennison's old house and was eating a bowl of cereal, and he watched the tower at the Span house, the wood Span house. The tower came tumbling down right in front of him. And he
that's
was
where we used to go up and smoke cigarettes.
Oh, gosh.
Enjoy the view.
Yeah, you used to sneak up. How old were you when you would sneak up there and smoke cigarettes?
Probably about 7 or 8.
You and Randy?
Me and Randy.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to our phone here.
How these Indian chiefs, because it's burning.
Good morning, you're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. What you up to today?
Doing well, and let me tell you who we got on the show, Will Matthews. We've got Noel Hollis on our show today.
Oh, my God, my cousin.
Did you know Will Matthews from Ozark?
Do you know, my memory went out with my back operation.
His mama was a Trotman, isn't that right? Your mother was a Trotman?
Trotman, lived with Trotman, Aunt Liv. And I think she was Niles' aunt or first cousin or something.
Yeah, Lib was my first cousin.
Well, Lib was your mama, is that right?
Yeah, we're way off aunt. We're way off
aunt.
Cousins, but we're probably third or fourth cousins. I don't know what.
Yeah.
And he lives in Ozark. He's an attorney in Ozark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Will Matthews.
Will Matthews.
And tell us who your sister is in Birmingham. Is it your sister or your cousin in Birmingham?
Who, Mike?
Yeah.
In Birmingham?
Yeah, well, who's got the tarpaulin industry?
About Laura Johnson, Bernie Johnson's daughter.
Okay, that lives in Birmingham. That's your cousin then, is that right?
She's a distant cousin.
Yeah. Well, Noel, of course, has joined us today, and it's Noel Day in Troy, Alabama. We proclaim it as Noel Day. And how'd that feel? This your first day anybody's ever given you a day?
Honored when they called up and they said, we just named it Noel Day. Would you come over? And I said, sure, but I'm not really safe on the road because, my driving skills have diminished quite a bit. And they said, we'll come pick you up. I said, done. I'm there.
Well, I'll tell you
and
this.
We have about how many of your pieces that are going to be on?
Well, I donated $4.5 million worth of artwork to Troy University. And then they wanted to do another show. I said, well, everybody's seen everything. Mm-hmm. And so I said, why don't I send down some Gustave Adolphe Mosa work, and we can do a comparison of his work and my work, because when I got to France, I was so impressed by Salvador Dali, and I learned that Mosa was Dali's inspirator, if you will. Yeah. Muse was his person that.
And of course, Dali is one of the great artists of all time. Is that right?
Yeah. So I started buying Mosa's work, and then I met his last wife, and we became friends, and she gave me a whole portfolio of his work.
Wow.
So, and there was a Mosa museum already in Nice, France at the time, so I was just, wow, all of this is heritage. That my
hey, friend, I want you to tell Mike Amos who your best friend in the world is.
Who my best friend in the whole world is?
Yes.
God.
I don't know why we're not getting a very good return. We got a static, something. Bill,
Tell him about your friendship with one of the Beatles.
Oh, Ringo.
Yeah, Ringo Starr.
Yeah. Ringo is just a very nice person. He's been sober for 40 years now, like I have. And he's just a very down-to-earth person. And I was, when I was going to meet him, I was just shaking like a leaf. I said, I've been reading Ringo.
One of the Beatles.
Yes.
And of course you painted him, is that right?
Well, he commissioned me to do a portrait, and I did it. And he said, I'm not accepting that. And I said, why? He said, because you made Barbara, his wife, better looking than me. And I said, well, she is. Look at you, Richard. He called him Richard. I said, she's gorgeous.
What do they call him, Richard?
Friends call him Richard.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Richard, look
Richard.
at you. Richard, look at you.
Ringo is named Richard, yeah.
And then Barbara
Richard
Bach.
Starkey.
His wife, Barbara Bach, is so beautiful with her long blonde hair and gorgeous lips and eyes and figure and everything. I mean, compared to Richard, who came up to about right there on her, with his big nose and his balding head. We all have these problems.
Yeah.
I went through got a preview of the exhibit yesterday, and I was reading the verbiage next to some of the paintings, and one of them Ringo was involved in, and you were painting something, and Ringo said, quit, stop painting, you're going to ruin it. And you turned around and told him, I don't tell you how to drum, do I? You don't tell me how to paint.
Yeah. And of course, it's not just an exhibit; it's a museum. The International Museum. Yeah. And he would want to know where you got the concept for that big bird out there. That big bird.
After the 9/11 catastrophe or revenge from the Muslims in New York with the World Trade Center, I wanted to do something, and all the artists were doing these commemorative works for 9/11, and I said, what was the thing about? It was about peace. And blowing things up and killing people is not peace. I mean, I know that you have to sometimes eliminate certain factions to find the peace, but that's not really the way that Jesus and Gandhi figured it.
That's right.
So to find a symbol of peace that was recognized by the Christians and the Muslims and the Jews and everybody was the white dove. So I did a white little. Couldn't find a dove.
You got that white dove, but you got another one over at Buildings and Grounds. What are you going to do with it?
So I found.
I'll put it in my backyard.
I told one of the kids that was an apprentice, I said, go and find me a pigeon, a white pigeon. This was in France. And so he brings back this pigeon in a cage. And I said, okay, fine. Now, and I did a drawing and several things. And then I said, now go bring me back his skull. He said, his skull? I said, yeah, cut the head, boil it, and pick out the meat, and bring me back the skull. Because I had the idea of using half a real live pigeon and half the skull to symbolize death.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I want to back up just a little bit. Of course, after you graduated from college and you went on and you worked with Salvador Dali and some of the other great artists in the world, when did you realize that you were really, really good?
I was 33.
33 before you really knew that this is what you needed to do to make a living.
No, I had been professional for 12 years.
And you lived in France, is that right, all this time?
Swapped countries, and people were, noticing my work. Galleries were saying, can we have a show? And I said, well, yeah. And then Juliana Seraphim, this Palestinian lady, thank you, was a friend of mine. And she said, you've got what it takes. You can do this. And so I started working, with the idea that I was a professional. And before that, I was selling my work and living from it, but I still looked at myself as a student. as somebody that was, not quite there. And I think that that's the best thing to have kept me going, is to not think that I was professional.
When you did become a professional and really considered a great artist, did your dad, before he died, ever said, "No, I'm proud of you"?
He did.
And
he came to a show in Birmingham in his wheelchair. He had cirrhosis of the liver, emphysema of the lungs, and what else? He was dying of cancer. And he wheeled himself up to me at the show in Birmingham in Homewood, and he looked up and he said, "I'm proud of you." And I said, "Well, thank you." Finally.
Which it meant everything to you, didn't it? Because he wanted you to be a banker, you wanted to be an artist, and you proved him wrong,
Well, I said, I did follow in your path because I got your talent in drawing.
Exactly. But what made? How did you know he was a good artist? I mean, did
because
he paint at home?
Every time I would draw or something like that, he would, "You'll never be as good as me," and he would bring out these two drawings, one of Will Rogers and the other one of this model that he had found in Playboy, and he would sketch that, and they were really terrific. And he had saved them. Well, when I had my second big hardcover book published, it was like, I'm going to put Daddy's work in there. And I looked at it, and when you photograph something and look at the photograph, I could see that the drawings were traced.
Yeah.
I spent all this time trying to be as good as him.
Exactly. I've been a fan of your work a long time. In fact, I've been to several different showings that you've had in the country. But of course, you made France your home, and we're talking about the most beautiful, probably, part of the country. Did you get to know some of the leaders over there?
Well, Madame Pompadour, she commissioned a portrait, and the Duchess of Bedford commissioned a portrait, and Prince Albert commissioned a portrait.
All right, and
when I moved to the south of France.
Did you know Prince Albert
Oh, yeah.
and his movie star wife?
Well, you can't help but know somebody if they pose for you, because I'm always saying, "Well, tell me about yourself." And being an artist, they feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, now the movie.
In fact, both Ringo and Prince Albert cut the ribbons to the opening of my museum in France.
And that's something that you knew you had made it when that happened, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
And of course, the movie star that married the prince. What was her name?
She might have been deceased already.
Well, what was her name?
Oh, Grace Kelly.
Grace Kelly. Did you know Grace Kelly?
I never knew Grace. I met her once or twice, but I never knew her.
Now that was Prince
Rainier's wife.
Rainier's wife, and they lived in that beautiful, beautiful city. And
Monaco.
She got killed in a car wreck, didn't she?
She
or something?
did. Her daughter Stephanie was driving, and they were going around these turns, and I think both of them had drinking problems.
Did she?
Yeah, unfortunately. And they were going around a curve, and somehow they didn't make the curve and just went off straight down from the Alps into the tumbling.
Did it kill both of them?
Do you know, I don't think so. I don't think Stephanie was hurt, which was hard for her.
Of course, that is considered the most beautiful, probably, would you call it a town or a country?
Well, Monaco is a separate country. It's a principality because there was never been a king there. It's has always been the prince that was reigning.
Yeah.
But it's built from the French Alps going straight into the sea, and it's just for miles and miles east and west you can see.
Of course, they had the big races and car races and all that. That's a huge thing in
Monaco
it. Yeah.
Grand Prix, it was fabulous.
And of course,
the tennis tournaments and all these things.
Did you know Prince Rainier? Did you ever know him?
Yes, I did. I knew him.
And he never remarried, did he, or did he?
Do you know I don't keep up with marriages?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you got married here in Troy. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
I did the 10-year anniversary.
And tell us about that a little bit.
And
this is one of the greatest weddings of all time in this part of the country. And I was there dressed in white like everybody else.
Well, being a color fan, I decided if I'm going to do the renewal of the vows in Troy, which, Troy, you're born here, you renew your vows here, you do a museum here, and, I'm going to send my ashes here, too.
Well, great. Are you serious?
Yeah.
You mean your ash is going to be all over Murphy Street?
In the Knoll Museum.
Great. That's great.
I'm going to have a little thing built for them, and there they're going to sit. I'm going to leave from here.
Well, that's wonderful, man. I'm glad.
So it was like, what was the question?
All right. The question was, what was the question?
Well, I've got, Noel told me in the car on the way over here that he's actually working on his memoirs too, or he doesn't know if he's going to publish them, but boy, wouldn't you love to read those?
No, they will be published, but after I'm dead.
I want everybody to realize that at the Johnson Center for the Arts, and what a great...
The old library.
Yeah, the old library. And, of course, there's going to be a luncheon there today at noon. And then, of course, tonight at 5 p.m., the public is invited to Troy University's International Arts Center for a reception honoring Noel. And this is quite a nice event and a great honor for you, Noel, as we celebrate Noel's contribution to global significance, who also want to recognize his contributions to Troy University and the community as a native son who has long been involved in the life of this institution. It said Dr. Jack Hawkins. You know, they say described as many as a modern-day Mosa. First of all, tell me a little bit about Mosa and how everybody compares you with Mosa.
Well, Alexis Mosa lived in Nice, France, and he was an artist, a very famous artist. He designed the floats for the carnival, and you know, these big geese and elephants and things like that. And he also did paintings and landscapes and watercolors. So his son took over his craft and was an artist, Gustave Adolphe Mosa. And there was an art historian, the one that was I consider the most intelligent. His name was Jean-Roger Soubiran. He was really an intellectual that went to the Aix-en-Provence American School. He was teaching there, and he wrote a book on Mosa. And he was a friend of mine, so I would go over to his house, and he had several Mosa drawings and watercolors, and I fell in love with the watercolors, his watercolors, because they were similar to mine in technique. They were post-impressionistic, and he said, well, I'm going to open a Mosa museum soon. And so he introduced me to Mosa's last wife. Mosa was deceased by then, and Violet Mosa. We became friends, and she gave me a little portfolio of all of his pen and ink sketches, which I've put in the museum here, the Knoll Museum here, for the show. And you know, I just became inundated with Mosa's pen and ink, and even though I was doing pen and ink, and I was doing pencil drawings, and I was doing watercolors, and they all resembled his before I saw his work. And so Soubiran noticed that, and he said, you are the reincarnation of Mosa. Come back to Nice, France, to finish your work. And I said, you know, that's possible, because having gone to India several times and reading about the reincarnation and all of these things,
Unless those were yours, were those yours?
Yeah, I'll get them.
I'll get it.
That it was like, you know, if reincarnation exists, and there is a word, I can't think of it.
Keep going. This is laid back television.
I know this might be yours, mine.
Those are not even what we dropped, is it? Okay.
No.
I was thinking that did.
Your chair's back there, Mark.
I'll be able to get it back.
So it was like,
just a second.
I just felt kin to Mosa aesthetically and technically. So there was a Mosa museum in Nice, and they decided to give me a show, a big show. And I think that's when the French society really recognized my work, is when he wrote something about my work and included me in the Mosa Museum.
The thing that I forgot to, that we forgot about while we were talking about was your wedding. And of course you met Dr. Jack Hawkins and became very good friends, and became a part of Troy's growth, I would say. And
well, you know, Jack called me up, Dr. Hawkins called me up in France, and he said, no, why don't you come on back home and be artist in resident here at Troy? And I said, you know, that's a very good idea, because after being away in Europe, and you know, even though I'd come home every year for a month or two, have shows, disappear in the Mexican jungles and then wherever else, I did that. And he said, well, why don't you come as a permanent artist in residence? I said, you know, I feel uncomfortable permanent anything, Jack. So I came back for another year, and another semester, and you know, going up and down Murphy Street and College Street and North 39th Street.
Because you paint, a lot of your paintings were the old Methodist Church and First Baptist Church and downtown.
Yeah.
And the water tank.
The grammar school was just next door.
And we were talking about that before you came on today, about the old Troy Elementary School on Cherry Street.
Yeah.
And the Presbyterian
and
Church
the
across
Baptist
the street.
Church. I was a Baptist, grew up a Baptist, went to school next door, the next street over. Both my grandmothers lived on either side of me, so that was my
And then Miss Nall, boy, she was a great cook. Everybody in the neighborhood ate at her house almost every day, didn't they?
She wasn't a cook.
Well, which
she
one
was? A businesswoman.
All right. Well, so she had cooks, though.
She had Johnny Mae Simmons, who was her cook, and her sister, Erin Helton, would come over. She was a great cook. Now, my grandmother had she had good taste buds. And
good taste buds.
She did, and she could identify good cooking, and she knew how to cook, but she didn't like to cook. She was busy selling insurance and trips to Camp DeSoto.
But a lot of the people in her neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen, would come to her house and eat. And some of them boarded with her. Is that right?
Lucy, can we come and eat with you on Sunday? And she said, yeah, come on. Then the next door neighbor, Lucy, can I come too? And before I knew it, she had 36 place settings.
Wow.
And who was setting the tables but the next door me?
Yeah.
You know, the napkins go to the fork and the spoon, and this is silver and this is not, and goblets.
You learned from that, didn't you?
Yeah, it was fabulous.
But the other great thing, the other great thing, you were just a rock's throw away from your other grandmother.
She lived across the street.
Lived across the street. Can you believe that?
So
his grandmama lived across the street from each other.
Anything I want.
Jerry Hollis's mother.
You
is
might
that right?
say that I was spoiled.
I know. Hey, would you ask them, all right, what are y'all having today and what are you having today? Did you ever compare that?
Eventually, my other grandmother, Thelma Loman Hollis, would go over and she started eating at Lucy's house too.
And you see both of them at the same time. You loved that, didn't you?
I loved it.
And Daddy Fred, when did he die? And Daddy Fred was your hero,
I've lost track of memory.
Yeah, but he was your hero, though, in a way, wasn't he?
He was the person that I loved the most.
Took you fishing, took you hunting.
Yeah. And let me drink grape sodas and eat those little cheese crackers in the bottom of his books, reading a Superman comic book. And in the bottom of his boat, and he had about 10 fishing posts, looked like a spider.
I want to say Copeland's Pond. What pond was that?
Every pond.
That's right, exactly. He loved to fish.
Every pond in Pike County and abroad, he had fished in.
You know, I was looking at one of your paintings yesterday, and I've commented to Mike, I love all the frames, and one of your frames is old fishing rods.
Yeah.
And then another one of his frames are old tennis shoes. I mean, where in the world?
License plates.
When I walk through that museum, I say, what is he thinking about? What is this guy thinking about?
When I walked in with that headdress on, what did you see?
I saw Chief.
Did you see me, or did you see the frame that
I saw the
frame.
I saw the frame.
That's it.
That's it.
So, when you go into a neighborhood, and you see a house, what is the house surrounded by? Other houses, that's the frame. The environment of anything surrounding it is also considered the environment.
To me, your frames is what makes your pictures. I mean, your frames are magnificent. I mean, they color. And, of course, you're in every hotel in this part of the country. The Renaissance in Montgomery, the Renaissance
that's thanks to Jack
Mobile.
Hawkins, who introduced me to David Bronner.
And David Bronner's a great guy, isn't he?
He's fabulous. Who said, no, you want to take over? We've just renovated the Grand Hotel.
One of the great hotels in America, the Grand Hotel in
Do you want to take care of the art? And I said, "Let me take care of the art. What's your budget?" He went, "0." And I said, "0 budget. What am I supposed to?" He said, "I need 3 pieces for the 500 rooms we've got, and then you should do the entrance and the bar."
Nobody's got a better order than that.
And I said, "With a 0 budget," he said, "Do you want the job or not?" I said, "Yeah, I'll take it. Thank you."
And I love going to the Renaissance in Montgomery, same way. Beautiful, beautiful pictures. Big pictures.
Well, by then he had broken into the register and doled me out a few dollars.
Yeah.
He said, I'll pay for the frames in Troy. And I said, the frames in Troy. So the idea of the frame was always a consideration, because it costs, if you don't have any money, you can buy a piece of paper and a pencil, but you can't frame it. And so just the idea of a frame was always important, coming from, being disowned for being an artist from my daddy and no money. I think my mother sent me a check in 1972, a year after I'd been in France, for $5. Yeah. It cost $65 to cash a check in France. I sent it back to him, and she said, "Please don't tell your daddy that I financed you." I said, "Finance me."
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to the artist Nall, Fred Nall Hollis, one of the renowned artists in the world, and he just happens to be from Troy, Alabama, and Troy University in the city of Troy proclaimed today and that is the 7th day or 8th day? 8th day of May the 7th as Nall Hollis Day, not only in Troy but everywhere. And let me tell you, we're jumping around a lot, but the things that I see from a lot of your paintings is how you've lived. You recognize all the great artists in Alabama. You painted their portrait, but also your dogs. Your dogs have been in a lot of your paintings, and you loved your dogs.
Well, those are my children. I was not fortunate enough, or unfortunate, depending on which side of the fence you're on, to have children. And I think that I've been told by various girlfriends that I've had 2 abortions. And so dogs have always been my children.
Yeah.
So it's like family portraits.
Do you still have your dogs?
I've just got 2.
Just have 2, but of course the one that was on a lot of your paintings is she still living?
Well,
or he's still living?
Biscuit, who is 14, decided that he needed a trophy bride.
Yeah.
So we went back to the same pound in Fairhope, and this little 2-year-old Chihuahua, white Chihuahua, he's white, came strutting out, and I had several dogs come out to introduce to him, and he just, and so they left. And this one, he just turned his back to her, which I guess is a dog's way of flirting.
Yeah.
And she came up and she sniffed him, and that was his choice.
Yeah, I got you.
And it was love at first sight when he turned his back to ignore her, which infuriates all women. So they make an effort.
Well, a lot of your paintings had those dogs, and then of course your friends. You painted all your friends, from
the artist friends.
Yeah, artist friends, and then, but the picture that has the tennis shoes. How did you come up with that? Was a lot of those your tennis shoes?
If you have walked as many roads as I have, you realize that those shoes have a lot to say.
Yeah, you can almost sell, get money from these manufacturers for you utilizing their shoes.
Let's speak of shoes right here, folks.
Yeah, let's look at that. That is a fabulous shoe, and
you don't want to smell it.
Oh no, I don't. But that is a fabulous shoe. Did you design that yourself?
No, it's just a Merrill shoe because of comfort. But when you drop paint on everything that you're painting, and then you look at the shoe and you say, well, it needs a little touch of red too, so and then you do another one.
And something I want to talk about too, of course, we're talking about your wedding, and what a spectacle, wonderful event that was out at the Pioneer Museum in Troy, and everybody wore white. It was a beautiful setting, and
color is important.
And a great party. Was that one of the highlights of your life?
Do you know, everything has been a highlight of my life. My life has been so exciting.
Yeah. And of course you were married to her, several years. Is that right?
With Tusha?
Yeah, Tusha.
I think we were married we knew each other for 3 months. We got married and lived together or apart for 16 years.
Yeah. She came from a pretty good stock, didn't she?
She was a baroness from Italy. Her mother was the baroness from Parma, Italy, and her father imported Dow Chemical into Europe.
Oh, boy.
So there was money, there was titles, there was spoiled.
Are y'all still close at all?
She won't speak to me.
Oh, really? Well, y'all had some good moments, though, I'm sure.
No, well, one of my ex-mistresses and she and my ex-wife are living in the same house that I built, and my wife got in the divorce.
Yeah.
But the ex-mistress was living on the grounds in one of the cabins, so I told I said, you better move into my house because I think the judge is going to give all this to my wife.
Of course, you're one of the well-known artists in Europe, and of course, you have painted for some of the wealthiest people and the families and so forth. Of course, England, you've mostly. What country have you? Were you more in France than you were in England?
Oh, I went to England a few times. England really never interested me as much as going into the Middle East, going into the Arab countries, going into India, the Eastern countries, because handcrafts are important.
Yeah.
In India, they're important. In Mexico, and where people really admire and collect handicrafts.
Yeah.
And use them, handmade rugs, woven rugs. I'd love to go in Turkey and into the rug shops and watch them make the rugs and use the colors, and going into the mosaic factories in Italy and seeing how mosaics were made, going back and then eventually trading some of my watercolors for the Roman mosaics.
The thing about you're so flexible. I mean, you do portraits, you do. You come up with your own ideas. I mean, when you walk in your gym like Rice did yesterday, first time you ever been in your museum before, every picture, you have to think about it. You look at it, you think about it. And I think that's what you want.
Well, that's the purpose of doing it, is to get people off their behinds and get them to think.
Yeah.
America stopped thinking.
Yeah.
They're watching TV.
Exactly. All right, now, you left France. Have you been back?
I haven't been there in 2 years.
Yeah.
When I had to give up the foundation, the judge told me I couldn't live there anymore, but I would still own it.
Yeah.
And so I went back 1 year, one summer, and stayed at a friend's guest house, and decided that that's not the same thing. Sold my cars, and living on the French Riviera. It's 5 miles to the beach. You can walk into town, but to the next little town would be like 3 or 4 miles.
Yeah.
And we had an apartment in Monaco. We had the foundation in Vence.
But
you needed a car.
Yeah. Your days were, you rubbed shoulders with some of the richest, most famous people in Europe. And, of course, you went to parties all the time and so forth. What kept you away from drinking the fine wines? I remember...
I was an alcoholic.
Oh, really?
I couldn't stop. Yeah. Would you like a beer? No, I'll have 24. It's got that kind of an attitude.
Well, I know you went from a cheap wine here in Alabama when you grew up to the finest wines in the world.
Well,
did you become a connoisseur of great wine?
Look at the history of the United States. What really destroyed the Indian? Alcohol.
Yeah.
The Native American.
Yeah.
What has destroyed more people than you can count? Alcohol and drugs. So when I realized that I was an alcoholic, then I went to the 12-step programs and I learned how to live. It wasn't by getting drunk and being scandalous, and God really entered my life and took over.
Let me ask you this. Who inspired you the most? I mean, growing up, or family, or artists, or anybody you met along the way?
I got it. My father for work ethic. My grandmother, Lucy Knoll, for work ethic and diversity. Grandmother Hollis for kindness and gentleness, and cooks for chocolate cakes and tea cakes.
Exactly, yeah.
Paper bags.
And she would take them across the street to your other grandmother to
My
serve for lunch.
grandfather Hollis, Joe Moxley Hollis, for you don't have to have but one wife, you can have the second wife. If things don't get along and if you're going crazy, you divorce and then you get another wife. So for freedom to breathe, those people have given me a lot.
Yeah,
I got a question for you, Noel. How many days a year would you say that you work and paint, or is it just almost daily, or do you go in spurts? Or
365.
Does the early morning, late afternoon, or late night, when is the time you feel like you do your best work?
I would take a break.
Were you able to think?
I don't think I've ever thought. I just, you
use that word think.
It flows.
Do you have many pieces going on at the same time, or just work on
10
one?
10 or 20.
Yeah.
And if you have an idea and you run over here and you have many tables.
To look at your paintings, and some of them just jump out at you. They're so beautiful, and a lot of it is, again, your frames and what goes with it. I think, though, what you do might be some of the most beautiful work in the world. I mean, in the world.
The color, there's always some.
And you're my friend. You're one of the great artists in the world. You realize that, don't you?
No.
You don't realize that? You don't realize that you're probably the best at what you do in the world?
I do the best I can.
Yeah. Did Dolly influence you much? He's one of the great artists, one of the most well-known artists. Now he lived up until not long ago, didn't he?
He influenced me by letting me know that it's who you know in the art world.
Yeah, that's true in most everything. It's who you know.
To be true to your craft, because he was really true to his craft. Where Picasso, on the other hand, the Viscount Patrice Philidor Dupont said, you know, you're a great artist and you need to work with a master. And I said, master what? He said, master artist, of course. And I said, well, I don't know any master artists. He said, well, I'm best friends with Picasso and Dolly. And I said, oh, really? Well, you can keep Picasso, but if I could just meet Dolly, I would die and go to heaven.
Hey, how he's dead now, isn't he? He's been dead for a long time.
Years.
But you did know him well enough to have learned from him quite a bit.
Well, I would see Dolly on Thursday and Saturday, every Thursday and Saturday. I was a Beaux-Arts student, École de Beaux-Arts in Paris, student studying art. And when I would come into class, the students knew that I would go and visit Dolly. And so every Thursday and Saturday they would all, hey, Noel, what are you doing for lunch today? I said, well, I'm a little busy.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I can go with you if you want.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I think, okay, I'll take one person every time I go.
Yeah. You know, yeah.
I went to, and I walked in with somebody, and Gala, Dolly's wife, was always sitting on the stuff, and she would pat the cushion next to her, and I'd go sit there, and she'd say, well, who did you bring today? And I said, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. And she was like a mind reader. She could read anybody's mind. And she was very, very spiritual. She was like what we would have called 200 years ago a witch. Mm-hmm. She could see into the future, see into the past. And it was just remarkable to be around that couple because they were really spiritual, and they were, I mean, most Dolly's paintings were not only sexually endowed, but they were very spiritual at the same time.
No, very important. Are you spiritual?
Most definitely.
You know, by way of your grandmother, though, is that right? Your grandmother told you about Jesus.
Having a Baptist upbringing was one of the best things that could ever happen to a kid. But you might change your choice of different things, but every child needs a spiritual base. And I really got mine.
All right, now you've been back in the States for quite a while now, and you're in Fairhope, and a beautiful setting for you, and you're down there with your Bebe and Ken.
Yeah.
A lot of your old friends are down there. Tell us what you've been doing with yourself for the last few years.
Working, setting up. Oh dear.
Is that your dog? Is that one of your dogs?
Yeah, I keep him in my pocket.
Where is the dog located? In Fairhope?
Yeah, they live in Fairhope.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, what was the question?
What are you doing now?
What are you doing now? Of course, you got a studio in Fairhope.
Well,
is that right?
I decided to make some gifts because you know you can do a lot of work, you can sell a lot of work, but if you produce as much as I produce, you got to do something.
See, that's
with
one
all
thing
this
about
stuff.
you. You have a great energy,
She is
don't you?
very. Becky, I'm in an interview, and I will call you as soon as it's over. Okay? Bye.
He's talking to his dog.
Watson.
But I mean, you know, you have great energy. You always have, and you put out a lot of stuff in a hurry, don't
That's
you?
a gift.
And that when you're trying to make a living in it, it really pays off.
You've got to market your stuff besides
You've got to create it. You've got to have something to say. If you're following in the footsteps of the greatest symbolist and surrealist artists, you've got to know how to twist it around to where the opposite of everything is true as well. You know, studying political science and abnormal psychology and art at the University of Alabama helps a lot too.
You know, I was at the beautiful hotel down in Mobile. We went to Mardi Gras.
The Grand Hotel.
Yeah, you had some beautiful paintings in that facility too.
Thank you.
You know, what do you do all these? Of course, quickly, I've been watching a movie. I love to learn about World War II and everything, and Hitler stole so much art. So much art that's never been recovered.
So did my ex-wife, mine.
Yeah. What happens to your?
And
your
she was
painting?
Jewish.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so you were not able to get that back?
Yes, I did. The lawyer here in Fairhope got the artwork back, and but she had sold quite a bit of it. I guess she figured she deserved it because she lived with me for 16 years. You know, and I can't really
no question
deny
about it. I had to get something out of it. Well, real quickly though, of course, we're on Facebook live across the United States, across the world.
I didn't know that.
We're live on Facebook this morning,
Okay.
and so now can be picked up. This interview could be picked up later on
terrific
on Facebook. But now, have you? Do you sell a lot of your paintings? Do you have some salesmen that sell your paintings?
No,
or do
I
you
don't.
do it?
I'm
or
a
what?
one-man show. I have galleries that deal my work, but this is kind of, you know, when you send work to a gallery in New York or L.A. or Miami or Washington or Paris, you have to crate it. And the older I get, I don't crate anything anymore. I don't like the details of bookkeeping. And when you hire young artists as assistants, then you know how much can you rely on an 18-year-old that's just come out of a drug rehab?
Yeah, exactly. You know, how do you decide what goes in your museum here in Troy, which is beautiful? The lighting is beautiful.
Pieces that I had, and the biggest pieces that I had, and I said those go to Troy.
So, and of course, your affection for Dr. Hawkins and Janet, they're some of your best friends,
It's
aren't
a
they?
love for the people and for my roots.
We're so fortunate to have
You're like me. You're proud to be a Troy Trojan, aren't you? You've been a Troy Trojan all your life, haven't you? And old Jerry would be so happy to hear that, and all these guys.
And I was so happy to know that Jerry Hollis and Patsy have moved back to
That's
Troy.
right, no question about it, and we are definitely excited about it. Now, of course, this week and today is a great honor. You know that they've given you the keys to the city. I'm sure
The honor is mine.
And I'm going to see you today at lunch, and I'm going to also be at the event that's going to be located at the museum starting at 5 o'clock tonight. It's a quality event. I mean, it's you're going to see all this art. Will you be explaining or demonstrating anything?
I have no idea what is in store for me today.
You don't. You
like
don't know.
today, I didn't know about
Yeah.
this until
This is your life. This is Miss Pearl Peacock coming out here, your first grade teacher. This is Miss Cox coming out, your first grade teacher.
Hi, darling. How are you
doing?
doing?
This is Miss Davidson that taught you about the Audubon Society. This is Miss Boutwell.
Miss Rowland.
Miss Rowland, wasn't she great?
She flipped her collars up.
Oh, she's beautiful and
She was
sweetheart.
beautiful.
How about Miss Riddle? Did you have Miss Riddle?
I did.
And,
Fifth grade.
Exactly, and all these great. Mr. Dotson, did he ever have to paddle you a little behind?
I'm afraid he did not.
No, he didn't. Well, he did me a few times. Of course,
Well, you
back then.
probably deserve it. I've always been a saint.
Back then, of course, do you go back in memory much to the
Every
days
day,
growing up?
every day.
Isn't that amazing? That you think about Troy?
It's amazing that I can remember when I was 4, but I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday.
But don't you wish you could drive that beautiful blue Pontiac one more time?
All I have to do is shut my eyes, and I'm driving.
And we had some good times back in those days. And you said you weren't good at football, but I remember playing football with you. You were a good football player. You were strong.
Good,
you were always
hated
strong.
it.
Did you work with weights or do a lot of push-ups? What did you do?
No,
you were
not
strong
then.
growing up, you know.
I was just another gift.
You stay in pretty good shape.
I go to the gym every day.
That's what I was saying. I knew you did.
Swim,
and you're
work out.
still pretty strong, aren't you?
I like to think that I'm more strong physically than mentally.
Now
today.
you've got a place at Troy. Anytime you come back to Troy, you're going to have a wellness center next to none.
This morning I went for my morning walk and I walked around the building. I wanted to go in, but it said you can't go in without a hard hat. And I said, this Indian chief, that won't do. This hat, that won't do.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll stay out of that.
Where did you get this headdress? This is a big time. This is a Hollywood type headdress.
I bought that in Atlanta years and years ago. I had to have it because I've got Indian blood.
Yeah.
I had to have it.
I want to talk about one of your products I've never seen.
Go.
The playing cards that you have your artwork of all of Alabama's best known artists and writers.
Yeah.
I guess you did all the artwork, designed the cards. I have never seen playing cards that are so cool as these, and they're at the
Remind
museum.
me to give you a couple of decks.
Give me one
deck
now. I want one
and
too.
a white deck. The red and white, of course, from Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. You're a Bama fan. Have you promoted Alabama football all over the country?
No, but I've
all over the
promoted
world.
Alabama art all over the world.
I know you have.
Because we can be famous for more things than football.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite artists that have
Frank
been?
Fleming and I were contemporaries. Bill Nance from Huntsville. Frank is from Birmingham. Clifton Pearson was a teacher in one of the schools south of Birmingham, Montevallo. And Steve Skidmore was one of my best friends, an apprentice. He's in the book. I did a book and had the opening at the Montgomery Museum. And they're just so
The storyteller from Selma was one of your favorites.
Catherine Tucker Wyndham.
Yeah. See, you're relate. Your mind is really, really good.
And all of these artists that Catherine was a photographer. Looking back, they have all chosen as subjects the same thing.
Yeah.
It's equality, animals, rural scenes, and things that we would consider country.
Now let me ask this: do you sell mostly originals, or do you have prints?
No. The originals are far too expensive for most people. But but they come in there. We can't afford that. Well, I'll give you 50% off.
Yeah. All right. How
give me 80%. I said, it's yours. Take it.
No. How can someone get in touch with you to buy your art?
artistnull@gmail.com.
artistnull@gmail.com.
That's it.
I hope everybody.
Artist Null.
I have the painting you did of the square of Troy, and I think it's numbered. I don't know how many
I've got
prints.
3 or 4 of those left.
Oh man, that's a prized possession.
Yeah.
Anything he had done is priceless because he's one of the world-renowned artists. And
Thank you.
How do you feel when somebody, when you hear that word? Do you think back? Well, my daddy sure did want me to be a banker, but I made the right decision to go into art.
I tell them immediately what happened.
Yeah.
I said, it's a fluke.
Yeah, no question about
You've
it.
got to love your craft. You've got to love to work. And you cannot care about money. You've got to get everything.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this show has been seen this morning on Facebook across the world, across the nation, and across the world. And I want to say hello to all your folks in Nice, France this morning. And do you miss your...
Bonjour, mes amis.
You speak their language well?
Bien sûr.
Do you speak French very well?
Bien sûr.
Yeah. Did you fall in love with French wines?
Non. Quand j'ai arrivé en France.
How long have you been sober, Herb?
40 years.
Have you really? That is wonderful.
39.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
God bless you, my friend.
God bless
and
you.
thank you so much for being on my show.
And you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Nall Hollis will be ladies and gentlemen, will be honored today by the city of Troy. And again, it all gets started with a luncheon this morning. And then, very important, 5 o'clock, public is invited to Troy University's International Arts Center, which you had a lot to do with, introducing his new exhibit, Mosa Nall Dialogues. What is that?
It's the dialogue between my work and his work, and how our minds and our symbolist approach to art of saying something essential in art was better than just throwing some paint up on a canvas and saying, oh, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure that a lot of young artists come to you and ask you, how did you do it? Like you said, a lot of it's who you know, and you learn to know Dolly, and that helps your career a lot.
And you know, I can be renovated by looking at young artists' work. I can say, well, I like that idea. Well, I'll use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what art is. It's not owned by anybody.
Yeah.
Technique. Technique grew from the cavemen scratching on the rocks with other rocks, and it grew from that.
Well, I tell you what, it's a thrill to have had you on our show. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I just shook hands with one of the great artists of all time, Nall of Troy, Alabama.
I did.
Nall
with one of my
of Troy,
great
Alabama.
Friends from Troy.
That's exactly right. We go way back, don't we, my friend? Hope you've enjoyed our show. And ladies and gentlemen, this show will continue this afternoon at 1:30. We're going to run this again on Channel 2, this interview. And we appreciate your time this morning, Nall. And again, you're always welcome back on this show, and we'd love to have you anytime, or pick up the phone and talk to you by way of phone. What time do you get started every morning down there?
This is Becky Watson calling me right now to say,
okay,
we got to meet
exactly
for breakfast.
Right. And we're going to eat breakfast right now at Julia's restaurant. We'll be back today at 1:30 for Today in LA. See you then.